Wait, no. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Here we are with yet another Killbot and Gorgor Attack live stream. The first one in quite a while. Many things going on and many of nothing going on. We are here today on short notice as it is a dark day in the world of rock and metal on account of Sir Ozzy Osbourne has passed away at 76 years old. Of course, this is hitting the world right now like a storm, like a hurricane. Because really, it feels like Ozzy has always been around, hasn't he? You know, all my life I hear about Ozzy Osbourne, all the different bands he's in. Check this out. Black Sabbath 13. I got to see Black Sabbath on the 13 tour in Bristow, Virginia. You can tell that this shirt has been worn to death. It is one of the few old shirts that I still have. But Ozzy, he was super important to me and obviously all of you because that's why we're here. Without Ozzy, you wouldn't have Pantera, you wouldn't have Marilyn Manson, you wouldn't have most of your metal from the 80s and 90s. You know? Even with rare exceptions like Caius, where they said, oh, well, we weren't really influenced by Black Sabbath. We were influenced by bands that were influenced by Sabbath. Yeah, that's a rare exception, but for the most part, metal owes everything to Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne. So, it is now July 22nd, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and your host, Tony, Killbot and Gorgor Attack. We are in the house. We have live stream questions for everybody, so let me just get on with the program, shall we? Let me read some of these comments, because I know you people must be happy to see me. We can share some Ozzy Osbourne stories, and also, maybe you can, I don't know, tell me how you got into Ozzy Osbourne. And it looks like StreamYard has updated since the last time I was there. Let's see if I can still highlight. Yep, awesome. I can still highlight comments. At first I thought I was a little worried that they changed it. Maya Rain, I love you, Ozzy. Yep. Spoken for everybody. Legalized Crime says, rest in peace to the Prince of Darkness. Lord Vliger says, it's weird. I'm not sad. I knew this was coming. Yeah, I mean, he was 76. He's looked like his health was declining for a long time. So, you know, as much as we can joke that Ozzy's going to live forever, that he's a mutant, that he's immune to drug overdoses and all that other stuff, he is a human being. Well, was a human being, just like everybody. And, you know, 76 years old. I mean, that is a long, great life. He has lived more in his one lifetime than most people get to live in a couple lifetimes. I mean, the amount of people he's entertained, influenced, people who knew his name, I mean, that type of celebrity is going to be hard to come by in the future. You know, with the way social media and the way the public is currently with our relationship to celebritarianism, whatever the fuck. Mr. Darkmare, hello, an oldie, a usual suspect. I remember you. Sad that Ozzy passed. He's one of the first four that got me into metal. That's good. Crates Clouds, so glad I got to see both Ozzy and Sabbath live. The final tour felt like they might have known the end was coming, but wasn't expecting it so quick. Yeah, I can see that assessment. I mean, Warbeast, Bruce Corbett. He was the vocalist for Rigor Mortis and also Warbeast. And the final Warbeast show that they did, Bruce Corbett was instructed by his doctor to sit in a chair the entire show. Well, Bruce sat in the chair for the entire show, but he got up at the end of it, started singing anyway, against doctor's orders. Hey, he went out with a bang. And Ozzy went out with a bang too. I mean, look. Ozzy Osbourne, like I said, he's had riches, he's had great stories, he's had great interactions, he's gotten to see the world, he's gotten to enjoy things that most people would never get to experience or see. So, let's get back to some more comments. Gas Mask Productions, yep, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. Matthew Bridges, hello. Immediately went and listened to Sabotage when I heard. Did a presentation in front of my class at 11 about Black Sabbath. That's cool. Yep, I think the album I'm going to go for after the stream is over is either going to be Master of Reality or Volume 4. Perhaps both. Perhaps both. Why not? They're short enough. I say my favorite Black Sabbath albums. Overall, Master of Reality, Volume 4, Mob Rules. Maybe the first one, and perhaps Paranoid. There you go. Top 5. And yes, I am including Mob Rules in that top 5 because, damn it, I love that album. Matthew, that's metal as fuck. Said by Bed Rotting Artist. Yep. Ozzy said himself, I don't want to live forever, but I don't want to die. It was off that last album that everybody said was so terrible. You know, 13, the album for which the shirt I am wearing, the album that I bought the day it came out, and I just kept kissing the album over and over. My mom was finally like, fucking stop! It's annoying! Anyway, so this tapestry behind me, my friend Rachel gave this to me. She gave it to me. She was like, oh, I don't have anywhere to put it. Do you want it? Yeah, sure. I don't really have anywhere to put it either. The bolt thrower poster's still behind there. But hey, for this special occasion, here you go. You got Ozzy. You got his little logo up there, which is kind of out of frame. The man himself. So, we got Mr. Osbourne over there. And I have a Mountain Dew in the refrigerator outside. Actually, the freezer. Wanted to be nice and cold. Gonna drink a Mountain Dew for Ozzy. Yes, that's right. For those who have been keeping up with my channel and keeping up with me personally on my live streams on Instagram or wherever, up until Philadelphia a couple weeks ago, I was soda-free from April 20th of last year to whenever I was in Philadelphia. Lords of Acid. Let's see. Lords of Acid, Philadelphia. Yeah, we'll talk about that trip too. I saw Lords of Acid 7 times in the last month. It was the best week I've had in a really long time, and the video that I'm going to do about this trip is going to be the Gone with the Wind of Lords of Acid videos. 7 shows, and it covers all sorts of different angles about, you know, what happens when you follow a band on tour. What's their day like? What's your day like? What are the differences between cities and crowds? Which were the most walkable cities? Which were my favorite shows to go to? Etc. Okay, so June 15th, technically 16th at 1 in the morning, that was my first Mountain Dew since April 20th of last year. It tasted like Mia Malkova at the end of a fucking rainbow. I forgot how smooth it was, I forgot how tasty it was, I forgot how wonderful it was, and how soothing to my soul it was. So there I was in Philadelphia, having a soda relapse. I wish I didn't. I shouldn't have done it. For those who have quit soda and are thinking about getting back into it, thinking, oh, well, you know, I can control my soda drinking this time. If you have a soda and sugar addiction like I do, no, you won't, because I thought that was going to be one time until, like, I don't know, New Year's or something. But no, it sent me on a big 3-day binge of just junk food and Mountain Dew drinking like I used to. I used to just pound that shit down all the time, and it's a bad habit, you know? And I'm noticing my health being a little different already after only drinking it for a couple weeks, because like my liver thanked me for quitting Mountain Dew, and my teeth thanked me for quitting Mountain Dew. My dentist liked me for a change. And now it's like, ah, shit. So having trouble sleeping. I predict that soda and sugar in my soda intake and my sugar intake, that's also probably a trauma response of some sort. Not details I want to go into, but let's just say that I have some itches that I want to scratch. Have some bad habits I want to kick. I have some changes I want to make. And soda is going to be one of those changes. So here's what I'm going to do for this stream. I have that Mountain Dew in the freezer outside, waiting. At the end of this stream, I'm going to take that Mountain Dew out of the freezer. I'm going to drink it here. I'm going to drink a Mountain Dew for Ozzy. And then that's it. It's going to be my last Mountain Dew until an enemy dies, or I get a big cash injection, or if I get anal, you know, reasons to celebrate. So yeah, there's my commitment. Here I'm going to make a healthy change right here on the live stream. Now let's get back to the comments, because I know that's what you all are here for. And I missed doing this. I hadn't done this in a while, but you know what? I've had some issues in the past couple months, and I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, so... Okay, let me get back to these comments. Okay, so Aiden Gray, yeah, read yours. Crud. Where are you? Oh! Okay. Wrong thing. William Cantrell. Hey, Killbot, the news today was depressing, but did you ever see one of his shows? I'm curious because I don't remember. Well, I've seen a couple episodes of the Osbournes, and I've watched a lot of it on YouTube because he is just funnier than hell. I love the little clip of him and the blender. He's over there trying to make a smoothie. He can't get the blender to like blend at the setting he wants or something, so he just fidgets with it. Then he just walks away, gives up. And the way it's edited, and I'm sure that this is just editing magic, but the camera pans to him just sitting on the couch watching TV. The blender's still going in the kitchen. And then you get a shot of like the outside of his house, and then a shot of the blender again, and then a shot of him sleeping on the couch, and then another shot of the blender. It starts smoking, and then it like blows itself up, and then Ozzy gets up and he like drinks the smoothie nonchalantly. Probably editing magic. You know, people have said, "Oh, the Osbournes, it was scripted." Yeah, no shit. Okay, so. DJ Mescano, rest in peace, Ozzy. Yep. Freak Fletch. Hey, Killbot, got my Ozzy story on your post earlier with a picture of your shirt. Farewell, Ozman. Yep. Ethang. My grandma knows Ozzy. Everyone knows who he is and was. Dude, my grandmother, my mom, and my sister all texted me like an hour after the news. They were all like, "Are you okay, Tony?" Like they already knew I was gonna know, but actually that was how I found out. But my grandmother just texted, she just said, "Are you okay?" Yeah. I mean, I'm holding on. I mean, here's the thing. It's heartbreaking, it's sad, but it's also not surprising. Like I said earlier, we've joked about how Ozzy was going to live forever. He was going to survive everything. He was going to outlive Miley Cyrus. But 76 years old, all the health issues he's had, I mean, he's lived a good life. As far as the Back to the Beginning show, I caught a few minutes of the stream on YouTube. I didn't pay $30 for a fucking live stream because I knew that it was going to get a DVD release later. So I was like, well, why the fuck would I want to watch a live stream for $30 when I can get it for $20 on Blu-ray when it comes out? You know, so it's like, I can wait. Fuck it, I can wait. And all the highlights, people can send them to me. I can go on YouTube and watch songs, so hey. And generally, they sounded all right to my ears. I mean, here's the thing. A lot of people were pissed off that Bill Ward wasn't on the 13 tour. But I saw this tour, Tommy was on drums, and they sounded good. To me, anyway. They sounded better than they did at Back to the Beginning. And everybody's like, oh, his voice sounds like shit. Yeah, no fucking shit. He's 76 years old. But... I mean, it's like most people, they lose the ability to hit really high notes as they age. Cyndi Lauper, she's playing in Raleigh tonight. I almost went, decided not to go. But she struggles with time after time. She just can't hit those notes anymore. Because she's 71. I mean, it happens. Susie Sue, a couple of years ago when she played Cruel World, people were like, oh, she sounded old. Well, yeah, fucking 72 years old, or however it is. I mean, like, the ageism is strong. David Lynch, Brian Wilson, and Ozzy Osbourne are hardest hitting celebrity deaths for me. For me, Lemmy, Eddie Van Halen, Dave Brockie, those three. Those hit me kind of hard. Was Van Halen is the same thing. It's like Van Halen, up to that point, just felt like he was always around. You know? A-Man 1998. Hey, there you are, usual suspect. See, I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces in this stream. I'm mostly sad that I'm never going to see Ozzy or Sabbath. Well, I mean, you have the albums, you have the books, you have the documentaries, you have the movies. Sabbath is eternal. Period. Sadistic covers. I once stole a Black Sabbath Paranoid CD when I was around 10 years old. Don't regret it at all. I'm sure it led you to buy many more Black Sabbath albums. Maybe steal more Black Sabbath albums. Okay. DE the 5150. The one and only time I saw Ozzy was in 2010 when he went on a book signing tour for his autobiography, I Am Ozzy. Yep, and to this day, it is one of the top 3 funniest books I've ever read. He's just, there's something to chuckle at every other page. He's hilarious, you know? He tells a story about, like, taking a sword and chasing after some chickens after he had, like, been out drinking all night. And it's the way the story is told is just so dramatic. And it's horrible because he's killing chickens. There's no excuse for that. But also, like, just imagine Ozzy in welly boots and, like, a little raincoat, like, a little overweight, just running around in a field chasing some chickens. Kill the chickens, kill the chickens. But hey, Ozzy, after this stream is over, whenever I decide that's going to be, I'm going to listen to some Ozzy. You know, I tend to come up with a list every couple days of bands and projects and songs I want to listen to. I write them down physically so that I don't forget them. Sabbath. Sabbath is going to overtake my abscess and, I don't know, hemorrhage binge that I was going to do. But hey, why don't we talk about some Ozzy Osbourne, shall we? Goofy Goober. What's your favorite album at the moment? Mine's Vulgar Display of Power by Pantera. Let's see, I'd say Entombed, Left Hand Path, Terrorizer, World Downfall, The Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails, Filth Peg by Ministry, fucking Last Rites by Skinny Puppy. And there are a few more. Disintegration, fucking Ashes Against the Grain. What else is on this wall? Usually if I want to remember my favorite bands, all I gotta do is look around on this wall. Slaughter in the Vatican. Blues for the Red Sun. Voodoo U. Really great stuff. Really great stuff. But why don't we talk about Ozzy Osbourne? I'm gonna... Okay, sorry I can't pronounce your username, but I am going to put your comment in there anyway. I once discussed Black Sabbath with my history teacher, and I ended up finding out that she used to be best friends with Gus G, the guitarist on Ozzy's Scream album. Let me hear you scream! Neglect, sup, bro? Hey, how you doing? Just chilling. Let's see. Shelby writes, my mom, dad, and fiance texted me after the news broke. Right? My grandpa told me the news, Selective Matt. Yep, exactly. Thomas Brand. This might be the end of metal itself. No! Metal's eternal, man. Don't have a doom mindset when it comes to this stuff. Like, the rest of the stuff going on in the world, yes. Like, we're having a fascist takeover right now, and the economy's about to tank, and a lot of people are going to die. So, yeah, be sad and upset about that. Don't be sad about the state of metal. Metal's going to be fine. You know, we have the Titans like Maiden and Judas Priest still going strong. The Big Four are still going strong. Fucking newer bands. If metal will ever stop cannibalizing, we can pass the torch on to these new bands. So that way we can hear some new shit. Like Marilyn Manson said, are you motherfuckers ready for the new shit? Stand up and admit, come on, everybody. Yeah, good shit. I shouldn't have done that. Oh. Thomas 17. Hey man, I have to go to sleep tomorrow. Just wanted to say hi and rest in peace to the Prince of Darkness. Thank you. Hey, we got a super chat. Thank you so much. PCMO, best thing Ozzy did was the Post Malone collab. That is a bold statement. That is a bold statement. Fun fact, I bought that album and then I traded it in a month later. True story. But why don't we talk about some Sabbath? Why don't we talk about some Ozzy? Maybe we can talk about the Nativity in Black album. So, why don't we start at the beginning? Got a whole stack of Ozzy-era Sabbath CDs here. Okay, Black Sabbath, self-titled, the one that started all. This is the 2009 deluxe edition, the English version, mastered extremely well by Andy Pierce. Very dynamic, very punchy, very responsive, cool EQ. There are different track listings for the first Black Sabbath album. The United States version has... Okay, so the United States version, I think, has Evil Woman, and the UK version has Wicked World. It might be the other way around. But, hey, it was recorded in, like, a day, I think, and every song on here is just masterful to listen to. You know, you can zone out, you can run around, you can get crazy, you can relax. You can do it all with this album. Black Sabbath, classic for a reason. Then we got Paranoid with its absolutely atrocious album cover. Not the worst that the Sabbath Ozzy era ever had, but hey. Every song, once again, fucking awesome. Rat Salad, great drum solo. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's filler. I don't know. I like drum solos. And in this case, it's pretty tasteful. Fairies Wear Boots, of course. Classic. Excellent Smoke Sash song. What else? Master of Reality. Once again, another deluxe edition. But this album here, it's like there are two different ways you can listen to it. You can listen to it with the filler songs. And, you know, it's meant to enhance the album as a whole if you listen to it from beginning to end. It's kind of a calm before the storm type of dynamic. So you have Embryo going before Children of the Grave. Then you have Orchid going into Lord of this World. You know, or you can listen to this album without those little filler tracks. Well, filler tracks. And you can just have a full-on metal assault, you know, make it one-dimensional, like a lot of people like it. Then you got Black Sabbath Volume 4. This is the Drugs Have Done Good Things for Us album. This, Filth Pig, Last Rites, yeah, all three of these. Wheels of Confusion, of course. If you know, you know. And it is just absolutely awesome. So, again, kind of the same thing. FX going before Supernaut. You know, it's like a stupid, pointless noise track that goes before a rockin' song. Now, personally, I love the 1000 Homo DJs version with Trent Reznor. Then you got Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Yeah, one of the greatest album artworks of all time. So, the thing about the front cover is it is a companion piece to the back cover. So, you got this guy with demons tearing up his soul. But on the other side, you have the guy on his deathbed. Family surrounding him. Or maybe it's a dream. Who knows? Then you got Sabotage. Really expensive sounding album. I mean, look at Ozzy smiling on the back of this. Man, I'm gonna miss that face. Then you got Technical Ecstasy. Really shitty album cover. Robots having sex on an escalator. And you know something else about this album? This is less metal, but that's not the problem with it. The problem is that it's just so polished and overdone. And it sounds like other bands. It sounds like Foreigner. It sounds very 1976, you know? It just... Fucking Bill Ward sang a song on this album. Told you once about your friends and neighbors. Hey, the Guns N' Roses version with Axl on the piano, yeah, that version's better. Otherwise, fuck this album. You know, people want to say, oh, well, you know, if it isn't Black Sabbath without Ozzy, people forget about the shitty albums that came out with Ozzy. You know, they say that to discredit the Dio albums, and the Dio albums are better than a lot of them. Okay, Never Say Die. This album is Triceratops testicles. It sucks my ass fuck, okay? I hate this album. Fuck this album. Dave Mustaine said that it was his favorite album once, and I'm glad he's clean now. Now we're skipping ahead. We got the Reunion live album from the late 90s, very heavy. Da, 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 da. You know, just they changed the key to make the songs heavier. And of course, they added that distortion, and it sounds very 90s. Ooh! They were still at the top of their game. Then you got 13. Yep. Now, when I saw Black Sabbath in 2013 in Bristow, Virginia, I had a copy of this album that was autographed by 3 members. It cost about $50. I sold that autographed CD, and I kind of wish I didn't. You know, a lot of people hate this album. I think the songs are great. The production's horrible. Mastered way too hot. Rick Rubin should be stripped of his rights to produce albums. And actually, the bonus tracks on this are better than the album songs. Methodemic, Peace of Mind, and Pariah. Okay. Now, before I go on to the Ozzy stuff, let me go ahead and mention some of these comments here. Let's see. Mr. Darkmare. Ozzy was on Little Nicky as a cameo. Nice. Egrin Targ. They said metal is dead now and alternative is mostly forgotten. Metal still rules. Yes, it does. Jazzmeckies. So ungodly thankful I managed to see them a few weeks ago at Back to the Beginning in my hometown of Birmingham. Still remember my dad blasting No More Tears while cooking dinner while I was a child. You know what's cool about No More Tears? Had it come out any later than it did, it would have sounded dated as shit. Like, it came out in 92, I think, and with all that reverb, it was perfect for the time at the tail end of when he would have been able to do that and get away with it, okay? But what I like about that album and the sound of it, especially on Time After Time sounds Christmassy, you know? Like, you wake up Christmas morning, you know, it's dark out, lights on the tree glow, you know, you smell coffee, you got hot chocolate. Those pads come up. It just feels very Christmas morning to me. Then, of course, when I was a kid, there was the song Hellraiser on the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas soundtrack. Yeah, good shit. How I got into Ozzy Osbourne. So, I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and my stepdad's parents, I was over at their house visiting for Christmas one year, and they got me the Black Sabbath Symptom of the Universe Greatest Hits album, and they got me the Essential Ozzy Osbourne. They got me both of those, and I had my difficulties with some of it, but generally I found songs I liked on both. It took me a few years before I could come back to both of them full force, but I was really into that shit. Okay. Black Sabbath was part of my childhood. My mom's used to listen to the albums. The cover of the first album shivers me when I was a child. Scared me when I was a child. Okay, cool. Alonzo. Yep, I mean, it still gives a lot of people chills. I'd say Wheels of Confusion and Under the Sun are still heavy as shit. Personally, I'm a really big fan of the Born Again album as well. I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's not Black Sabbath. It's got Ian Gillan. Oh, no Ozzy. Oh. Yeah, that's kind of what bothers me about this whole Back to the Beginning thing. Is for a lot of people, the only version of Sabbath that has any value is the original 4. And yes, they created some of the greatest albums of all time, but also, you know, don't skip over the Dio albums and the Tony Martin albums and the Ian Gillan album. You know, there's great stuff across all of those albums. Some of those albums are better than others. The Eternal Idol, I'd say, is actually my least favorite Sabbath album. I've tried with that one, and it just doesn't gel with me for some reason. But like Tear, it's atmospheric, it's heavy, it's well-written, it's a cool album. The Mob Rules. You know, it's more hard rock, it's more 80s, but hey, Vinny Appice, he's a fucking awesome drummer. Dio, of course, legendary. Great riffs across the album, fucking great production. So, yeah, I mean, enjoy the Ozzy stuff, but, you know, don't dismiss the other lineups. There's great stuff across all of them. Hand of Doom. Boom, 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 boom. What you gonna do? You know what I love about Ozzy? I love the clip of him. A stray cat got in the house and it got behind like a big mirror or something. And, you know, Sharon, Kelly, they're all like, ah, the cat, stray cat, get it out of here. And then Ozzy's trying to take a broomstick and shoo it out. Hey, little bastard, get out from behind there. They're like, Ozzy, don't do that. He's like, please stop screaming. The metal singer's like, yeah, please stop screaming. Callum Cook, hello again, Mr. Cobot. The world will grieve Ozzy, but his legacy will live forever. No More Tears will be my favorite Ozzy song of all time. It's pretty incredible. You know, I really love Believer. I was listening to that on a walk pretty recently, and what's cool about Believer is it has a very dark and sinister sound, but the message of the song is actually pretty positive. You know, just read the lyrics. You know, Flying High again, of course, great driving song, great weed song. Most of Black Sabbath songs, I'd say, are great weed songs. Try, and again, going back to the Dio era, Falling Off the Edge of the World. Yeah. Walk around feeling like a badass. Slander Bob, Yogor. Hey, how you doing? Sabotage is my favorite. Yep. Kurt Ramon says, I was so upset when I learned the news, I broke down crying. Hey, don't be sad that he's gone. Be glad he was here. You know? We're here to celebrate the man and his music. Goofy Goober, do you like cats? I really like them. I love drawing them and learning about their anatomy. I do like cats. I have one. Her name is Blossom. Unfortunately, Jezebel. She had to be put down a couple weeks ago. Many of you know Jezebel. You've seen her in a couple videos I do. I've posted about her a million times. But she was 17 years old. She had a tumor above her eye. And it wasn't some nasal polyp like I thought it was. 17 years old. She had to be put down. It was, again, she lived a great life. I mean, it sucked because, you know, there's never really a good time to put a pet down. You know, your pets, they survive breakups, they survive jobs, they survive moves. They live with you every day through all that shit. They're family, you know? Friends might come and go, but generally, the animals, they stay with you for years at a time. You see them every day, you feed them. The fucking cats like Jezebel, I would eat breakfast in the morning and she would just stare up at me. Just wanting whatever it was I was eating. It's like, you don't eat pepperoni. Like, I'll throw you some on the floor, but you're not going to eat it. And that's exactly what would happen. She would just sniff it and I'd be like, ah, fuck this shit. What else you got? You know? But hey, she was a great cat. That was also the catalyst for me flying out to Las Vegas to go see Lords of Acid a couple weeks ago for the final show of their tour. Originally, it was just going to be the 6 dates that I went to see them originally, from Detroit to Philadelphia. But I knew that Jezebel was going to have to be put down soon, and I was like, I need a distraction. So, yeah. Which we'll talk about the Lords in a minute. We're 30 minutes in. Chair 343, you can't kill the metal. Yeah, everybody who says metal is dead or this is the day metal died, no. You can't kill the metal. Anyway. Egrin Targ. Tear sounded like some other metal band altogether. Not like Sabbath one bit. Not bad, just not the same feel. I mean, that's fair. Okay, so what about Ozzy? Let's talk about the Ozzy solo album. So we have Blizzard of Oz, which apparently was going to be the name of the project before Sharon Osbourne decided to change it to Ozzy Osbourne. Or the record label did. Who the fuck knows? But classic album from 1980, fucking started to get a lot of people into guitar playing and drumming and singing and into rock and roll in general because, hey, the mighty Randy Rhoads. You know, if you believe in the afterlife, him and Randy are together again. You know, I don't really subscribe to religion or spirituality, but, you know, for those who want comforting thoughts, there you go. You know, you got Suicide Solution, you've got Mr. Crowley, you've got, I don't know, fucking great songs on this album. Now, this one I like even better. Diary of a Madman. And by the way, these are all originals. They have the original drum and bass tracks, nothing edited. They're a little light in the bass and volume sometimes, but hey, they're not remastered to death, and, you know, they're the originals. So, Diary of a Madman, Flying High Again. Ooh, yes. Over the Mountain, you got those drum rattling fucking... It's just so fucking punchy, man. And then you got Believer, my favorite song on the album. That bass line. And like I said earlier, it's a very menacing sounding song, very dark, very heavy, but the lyrics are positive. Black Sabbath were like that too. Then, of course, Randy Rhoads died in a plane crash, and he was replaced by J.K. Lee, who is an extremely underrated guitar player. You don't hear much out of him these days, but hey, his solos on this, he's no Randy Rhoads, but at the same time, Randy Rhoads wasn't J.K. Lee, and Zakk Wylde wasn't J.K. Lee, and Randy Rhoads wasn't Zakk Wylde. I don't know. Like, a lot of people don't like Zakk. I get it, but like, this right here, J.K. Lee's guitar work is awesome. This album, at times, is very dated, very 80s sounding, but, you know, still some good songs. Now, personally, I like this one even better. The Ultimate Sin. You're talking about an 80s album? I'm going to tell you a little story. So, it's been raining and thundering a lot in North Carolina, and I was in the mood to watch the music video for Lightning Strikes by Ozzy. I didn't know that there was a music video. I just wanted to listen to the song, so I looked it up on the TV so I could play it very loudly. And there was a music video. I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I started filming it because of how 80s it looked, and thankfully I kept filming it because right then, Ozzy just turned into this giant Ozzy-Zilla and started terrorizing a city. Well, like, all he did was just laugh at people in a building. Like, imagine flying in an airplane above all that shit and looking down and seeing giant Ozzy going, to like a skyscraper. I couldn't stop laughing. I was also stoned at the time, very much so. So you can imagine I couldn't stop laughing. Now, shut in the dark, one step away from you. I dare say that J.K. Lee's guitars are better on this than they were on Bark at the Moon. Now, if you like J.K. Lee, be sure to check out his project Badlands. Badlands, they had Voodoo Highway, they had the self-titled, they had Dusk, which technically wasn't finished. Technically it was, depending on how you view it. But, you know, it's real loose blues rock, I'd say. Let's see, what else? We've got No Rest for the Wicked, the first one with Father Zach. I love the song Crazy Babies. I love the song Breaking All the Rules. Tattooed Dancer. Some really good songs on this one. It's definitely hair metal. This was Zakk Wylde before people got tired of him. It became cool to hate on Zakk Wylde, but I'll tell you a story about Zakk Wylde. I met him at a Black Sabbath show after the show, and he was pretty nice. He signed stuff for me, and I got a picture with him. It was pretty cool. Like, he took pictures with people right before the tour bus left. All right, back to Ozzy. Continuing with Zakk Wylde, too. So, No More Tears. The song Hellraiser, which Lemmy co-wrote. Hellraiser! Okay, I'm going to fuck my voice off if I do that. But, you know, No More Tears, Mama, I'm Coming Home, Time After Time, and Zombie Stomp. That's a good album track. It gets overlooked, but it's pretty nice. It has that build-up for a good minute and a half. Those big sounding drums. And then we have the last Ozzy album that, I don't know. Okay, let me backpedal. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over myself. This stream was last minute. So, this I say is the last great Ozzy album. And then you have this one where you have a significant amount of the album that is just terrible. So, with Osmosis, I find that the first half is pretty good. Generally, I mean, it's not groundbreaking, but it doesn't have to be as long as it's fun to listen to. The second half is where things fall apart for me, and it just, I'm sorry. I'm not into this whole I love my wife, Ozzy. Everything's awesome. Let's all hold hands. Shit. Like, come on, man. You're the Prince of Darkness. All right. Oscar Bill Chavez, 666. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Lunar Blood Reviews. What's the best Ozzy album to get really high to? Diary of a Madman. Okay. Kara Kaliko. Anyone ever tell you look like Alex Webster? Constantly, man. Goofy Goober. Gotta go, man. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Might show you some of my art on my post if you want to see it. Well, that's cool. That's cool. But, yeah. By the way, as is custom for Killbot and Gorgor Attack live streams, anyone who wants to donate $10 to the Super Chat, I will take my shirt off for a few minutes. Yes. Okay, so, talking about the music, what are your favorite Ozzy albums and why? You can type those in the comments, and I will move on to Nativity in Black. So, I did a pretty big video on these two albums, I want to say last year. Nativity in Black 1, it's a pretty awesome tribute album. It came out at a time when tribute albums were just becoming a thing. 1994. This is basically a who's who of the biggest bands in metal of 1994. You got Biohazard, White Zombie, Megadeth, Therapy, Corrosion of Conformity, Sepultura, Faith No More, Typo Negative. And, you know, there's a little story for a couple of these songs that are on here as well. Typo Negative. All the other bands were arguing over who wanted to be first on the album, who wanted to go after what band. Typo Negative made it easy. Nobody wanted to be last on the album. Typo Negative said, hey, we'll take the last spot. The label was like, okay. They knew what they were doing. Their cover of Black Sabbath, they wanted to leave a lasting impression, make it dark, heavy, scary as shit. Yeah. Nice and menacing. Now, Pantera's Planet Caravan, which ended up on the Far Beyond Driven album, was supposed to be on this album. Label politics got in the way, and the song ended up not making it on here. But Pantera were like, you know what? We already recorded it. Why don't we just put it on why don't we put it on our album? So that's what they did. Of course, there were a couple different tribute albums for Black Sabbath. There's, actually, it's on this shelf. Where is it? Here it is. Masters of Misery, the Earache Band. So, you've got Anal Cunt, Cathedral, Fudge Tunnel, Old, Confessor, Scorn, Iron Monkey, Pitch Shifter, more Cathedral. This is a pretty good album to check out if you like extreme music. I want to say Sleep's on there too. And then you get to Nativity in Black 2, which came out in 2000. This album is Triceratops testicles. I tried being neutral with this video, with this album when I did the video on it last year. And I'm sorry, man. Most of these songs just blow. Fucking Monster Magnet song. I usually love Monster Magnet, but this time I was like, what the fuck? Busta Rhymes did a fucking rap song over the riff of Iron Man, which was awful. Slayer's Hand of Doom isn't full of piss and vinegar like I thought it was going to be, which... How is Slayer going to cover Sabbath anyway? That's a weird thing to imagine. Pantera did Electric Funeral. Sounds great. Honestly, Snowblind by System of a Down. It's a pretty good cover. They made it sound like a System of a Down song. So, let me get back to these comments. Wolf Lost 97, Diary of a Madman has to be my favorite solo album of his. It's a great album. Very tight. Well produced. Fizz, Diary of a Madman, so great. Love all the songs. Believer's my favorite too. I always try the bass line when I enter an old record shop with a bass for sale. Yeah. Let's see. Steve Ralston, Primus covering NIB. Yeah. And strangely enough, Les didn't even sing on that song. Ozzy sang on the song, which is cool. But, like, I would have loved to have heard Les Claypool be like, you know,
Some people say my love cannot be true. Your love for me has got to be real. You know the way I'm going to feel.
There was a video that I saw of him on YouTube. You know, they were playing somewhere and somebody threw a water bottle at the stage, hit Les in the bass, and he picked up the bottle. He was like,
so I'm up here playing my bass guitar, doing my job to the best of my abilities. Then some brain surgeon decides he wants to throw a water bottle at me, hitting me and therefore ending the song. Look, I don't throw shit at you while you're at your job flipping the burgers, right?
He's funny. Desecrator. The Ultimate Sin has the most bitchin' riffs and smoking album cover. Dude, it's awesome. Neil. Yo, Killbot, how come you deleted your last stream? I feel like I overshared a couple things on that one, and it kind of ate at me for a little while, so I just took that one down. I don't really want to go into detail on some of the stuff, but something I'm trying to work on lately is just not sharing too much. I feel like, especially in my live streams, I tend to overshare a little bit. And I end the streams and I'm like, man, people didn't need to hear that, you know? Just something I have to keep in mind. I'm 29 now, you know, some of the stuff that I was able to do when I was 19 and 20 years old when I started this channel, I can't really do now, you know? It's just not mature. Like, there's still going to be some dirty jokes. There's still going to be some vulgar humor. There's still going to be fuck every once in a while. There's still going to be jokes about buttholes and peepees and boobies and talking about my favorite porn stars and stuff. But, like, you know, there's a limit to how much of that I can get away with without looking like I'm stupid. And people already think I'm stupid anyway because of my voice. And then, you know, you have people in real life and people in bands even who are like, you know, at arm's length with me because they're like, oh, please don't post any of this on the internet. It's like, what kind of monster are you taking me for? You know, they think I'm going to post personal stuff about them on the internet. It's like, no. You know, I've never done that. And usually, you know, if I post something about somebody on the internet, I'll usually ask first if it's okay. But, you know, it's weird. People treat you differently when you've got 63,000 subscribers and you've been on YouTube for 10 years, you know? It's a double-edged sword because I have amazing interactions with a lot of people, but also you have people who are resentful of your following, people who are resentful that you're covering certain bands and not their bands, and people who are worried that you're going to spill their secrets on the internet, and it's like, no, you know, I'm a guy who loves music, and I talk about music on my channel. So, you know, and there are a couple things in some of the past streams also that I feel like I overshared on, and if I think of them and if I can think of where they are, I'll delete those streams too. Because frankly, they don't bring a lot of revenue. Nobody watches them. I am super appreciative of the 95 people who are in here right now. Yeah, let's keep the conversation going, shall we? D2 Fan 19-2000. Hey, Gorillaz reference. I love the Gorillaz. Well, next industrial track. Check this out. So I just got this yesterday. I have been looking into getting a drum machine for a while, and here it is. This is the Electron Model Cycles. And it looks like something from a David Cronenberg movie. You know, it looks like a piece of hospital equipment, but apparently it's reasonably user-friendly for beginners like me. I've been playing with the Hydrosynth for a while, since December of 2023, and I think a drum machine like this would pair well with that. You know, I can do some beats while doing some you know, some frontline assembly stuff. Maybe I can even play some guitar, do some chorus stuff. Maybe I can do some dark wave stuff. But this is going to open up a lot of possibilities for me. The Electron Model Cycles, this piece of gear right here, this came out in 2020. And it sort of bridges the gap between old school sounds like the 808, the 909, and new school sounds. But it's also kind of its own thing. It's not just a drum machine. It's not just a rhythm box. You know, you can also do chords. You can also do notes. Personally, I'm going to want to do some dark industrial with it. I'm probably going to run an HM2 through it, see what happens. Have some nice crunchy distortion. But I can't wait to use this. Got this for about $200 used. Brand new, it goes for about $350. I find with most of the drum machines that I've looked into, and there were a few that I wanted, but most of the ones I was looking into, it seemed like they had most of the features that I wanted, but they didn't have all of them. Okay, screen got stuck for a minute. Okay. So they had most of the features I wanted. They didn't have all of them. You know, it wasn't like Goldilocks, you know, just right. And I think part of that is just the manufacturers. They know that the gearheads are just going to keep buying synths. So the synth companies, they're going to leave out important features that they know people want in the hopes that the people are going to buy the next piece of gear. So, you know, I don't want to go crazy with owning a lot of gear because, frankly, I think if you really take the time to learn an instrument, you can get a lot of great sounds you're looking for off of those instruments, especially with free plugins and using a DAW. Some people are like, fucking go DAWless. No, okay? I'll do what I want. but I made a beat last night, posted it on Facebook. Yeah, I posted it on Facebook. So hopefully people enjoy that. I'm looking down at the screen a lot. Why don't I take that Mountain Dew out of the freezer now? Okay, here we go. So here's the Mountain Dew I'm going to drink at the end of this stream. One for Ozzy, one last one for me for a long time. And it's time to talk about some other stuff, okay? Fizz. Also, dude, I used to watch your channel a long time ago. You helped me with my metal journey. It's great to be back here. You used to go by Ghosty. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You're the first person to recognize the Gorillaz reference. Oh, I love the Gorillaz. I would use the sound of Frankie from Quiet Riot. Well, you see, the Model Cycles isn't a skin. It's not a sampler. They do make an Electron model sampler. But from what I've seen from people who have owned both pieces of gear, they prefer the Cycles just because it's more of an FM synth. It's more in the box. There's no bullshit. There's no weird downloading from a laptop. It's just all in the box. Okay, so for the new people who are in this stream, here we are, July 22nd, 2025, my first live stream in quite a while. Also the first thing I've done on YouTube since the first week of June. So here I am trying to get back into the swing of things, and what a great time to do so. We are paying our respects to the Ozman himself, who unfortunately passed today at the age of 76. And like any Killbot stream, for $10 on the Super Chat, I will take my shirt off for a few minutes. I know the ladies like it. So, keep that in mind, and why don't we start talking about some other stuff, shall we? Austin Cook, what do you think of the first two 6 Feet Under albums? Those are good. Then they had a bunch of shitty albums, and then the Unborn album came out, and it was like, hey, this is pretty nice. Unborn and Undead. I liked both of them. And of course, you got Chris Barnes now, who looks like a mall Santa, and he's giving interviews acting like he's all humble and everything. I don't know why the guys in Cannibal Corpse don't like me. Dude, just because you look like a mall Santa now doesn't... You're not fooling anybody. You talked shit about those guys for years, and there's proof of it. Okay? A-Man 1998. Not gonna lie, I've been avoiding Facebook ever since a certain mango was put into office. I don't blame you. I started smoking weed as soon as that fuck got elected. You know, I made that industrial track, Dread, which I uploaded here. I made that track to keep my mind off of the election. I was like, okay, who's gonna win? And it seems like every other day, just some new catastrophic news keeps coming out, and it's like, what else are you going to do? You're going to self-medicate. I mean, if the shit's legal and it's not really harmful unless you do too much of it, then hey, what's the problem? Just don't drive and don't be an idiot. You know, and people are going to give you shit for smoking it, but like, again, it's legal and people have been using it for thousands of years. Here's the thing. In the past, I have not exactly been a weed smoker. I've had it maybe once or twice a year at a party or if somebody offered it, but I never went out of my way to get it. Summer of 2023, I was so depressed. So many bad things were happening to me that I was like, okay, let me just smoke for a little bit. So the second half of 2023, I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this. And then one day I was like, okay, new year, new me. I'm going to stop smoking this. I'm going to pick myself back up. You know, sometimes you just need to take the time to feel your feelings and then pick yourself up and move on forward. But in this case, it's just like, you know, something bad and catastrophic happens every other day. And people are suffering. People are going to die. People are going to lose their homes. And in my own way, I feel persecuted as well. You know, I have a lot of friends and family members who are going to be affected by all these changes. I'm going to be affected by all these changes. I'm affected financially. You know, everything's going up and things and services are paying less, and you know, it's kind of hard to navigate through the earth in 2025. I mean, maybe the pendulum will swing the other way, hopefully, but people don't see the train that's about to hit them. Abigail Anderson, I just joined. So sad about Ozzy's passing. It feels unreal. I'm a drink in his honor too. Well, don't be sad because he's gone. Be happy because he was here. Ozzy, we love you, man. As evidenced by the tapestry that my friend Rachel gave me. Thank you, Rachel, if you're watching. All right, let's see. Keegan says, have you heard the Gorillaz' Steamed Ham song? No, I have not. Actually, I haven't heard anything Gorillaz past Plastic Beach. Plastic Beach I bought when it was new. Demon Days I pretty much listened to when it was new because it was everywhere. You know, 2005, Apple, they had their iPod minis and their iPods, and you know, the album was part of the advertising for the iPods. So the album was everywhere. Feel Good Inc. was everywhere. Dare was everywhere. I remember that shit. Miguel Lopez, hello from Mexico. Still have your patch. Hope to hear more music in the future from you. Drummer right here. Rest in peace, Ozzy. Thank you. Actually, I am very slowly and very hastily in the process of remastering all the songs that were on Tales from the Tube, as well as remastering the songs that have come out since then, because I'm going to release my stuff on CD through Unbaptized Records. My guy, Adam, he's going to press some copies, and I'm going to come up with a couple new songs for the release. So, yeah, it's going to be nice. I didn't realize how clumsy some of my mixes were when I put them out. So, like, Downstream, I accidentally put the cab IR in the chain before the amps M, so that's why the guitars sound kind of fuzzy, blown out, shitty. That's always bugged me. And I never understood why the guitars sounded like that. Then I was like, oh, the IR is supposed to go after the amp sim. Do. Yeah, stupid me. I should have known that already. I've been recording my own music since I was fucking 12 years old. I should have known that already. Like an idiot. It slipped by me. But this remixed version? Remixed. So the performances are totally untouched. But I switched out the cab IRs and the amp sims and the chain, and now the guitars. Dun, 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 dun. Huge, explosive, nasty. The drum samples sound better. The EQ is better. Vocals aren't quite as loud. I'm going to take the limiters and the saturation off of cross wires because it was very ugly sounding when it came out, and now it sounds great. So, yeah. That's where I am with my musical projects at the moment. And as far as the Killbot videos, there was the CD collection video that came out in June. That was just something I had to do kind of quick because I did a Marilyn Manson video in May. Almost uploaded it. Here's what happened. I went and saw Marilyn Manson in Charlotte. Okay? I was really excited about going to see Manson. I've been listening to him since I was 11 years old. And you know, when I started going to shows on my own, Manson at the time, the 2010s, he was notorious for getting on stage drunk, high, having meltdowns, slurring words with the songs, looking like he didn't want to be there. The band sucked. He sucked. Even Manson fans were like, this is rough. But he's lost weight. He's been sober for years. He looks and sounds great. Best he's looked and sounded in 20 years. And the set list was great. You know, it was full of songs that I cared about and not anything off of fucking Pale Emperor. And, yeah, saw them in Charlotte. It was a great night. And the problem with liking Marilyn Manson in 2025 is, you know, people get hung up on, oh, he's a rapist, he's an abuser. It's like, first of all, those allegations, nobody truly knows what happened because the charges were dropped. You know, the LA District Attorney came out earlier this year and said, look, we probed evidence and we couldn't find any evidence. Well, sorry, we probed for evidence and we couldn't find anything. So, and also the statute of limitations expired. So, I think he got guilty. I think he got found guilty of something in the UK, and then the charges were dropped in the United States. Anyway, it's complicated. It's a rabbit hole I don't want to get into. People are going to be like, "Oh, you support a rapist. You support an abuser." As far as I know, I don't know anything about that, and I don't think I want to know. But so far, I haven't really seen any hard evidence that would show it to me. Now, of course, I did a video on subject matter because I have a pretty complicated and storied history with Marilyn Manson. He was the first artist I ever got in trouble for listening to. And that's a pretty sad story as it is. But, you know, there were reasons I liked Marilyn Manson. There were reasons that I was gravitated towards him. Eventually, I got into Nine Inch Nails. And to me, Nine Inch Nails has always been the grown-ups version of Marilyn Manson. So I listened to Manson less and started becoming a Trent Reznor fanboy. But listening back to those old albums, those old Manson albums, Antichrist Superstar, Mechanical Animals, Portrait, he had some interesting stuff going on. You know, it was different. The production was awesome. The lyrics were fucking excellent for the time. He was great as a lyrical artist. He was great as a conceptual artist. He was better when he had a talented band behind him, and it wasn't just him and Tim Skold or him by himself or, you know, him and some weird producer. Like, when it was still a band, like up to about Golden Age, he was awesome. Golden Age was kind of but, you know, I think maybe he was just this misunderstood artist that was written off as a shock rocker. I mean, listen to Mechanical Animals. It's so well put together. And it's also one of the best produced albums I've ever heard. That guitar sound is just, it's just so fucking fizzy. They use 100 different snare drums for different parts of songs, different, you know, so good. Desecrator, Tony whoring himself on stream since 2016. Yes, referring to my $10 super chat for me taking my shirt off. Don't have any takers yet, but we'll see. Maybe by the end of the stream we will. It's been 1 hour. How are you people feeling? How are you people feeling? Okay, R Raid Moon? I think I'm saying that right. Have you heard the new Nine Inch Nails song? What do you think of it? I have heard it. It sounds like it is a response song to Love Is Not Enough. I find that with Nine Inch Nails, there are a lot of songs where there are either part twos or responses to them, or some sort of continuation of an idea. So, for instance, Down in It has that one line, tiniest little dot caught my eye. Well, only the same line is used. Tiniest little dot caught my eye, turned out to be a scab. You know, just little connecting songs. Let's see, Nothing Can Stop Me Now from Piggy and Ruiner, and then We're in This Together. Nothing can stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Whatever. You know, just little connecting Nine Inch Nails songs. Well, here we go. I like it. I mean, it's not. It's definitely soundtrack material. I can't wait to hear what the rest of the Tron soundtrack is going to be like, and this is going to be cool because instead of it being billed as Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing the soundtrack. It's 9 Inch Nails doing the soundtrack. Oh yeah, we're back in business, baby. Favorite band of all time. The new 9 Inch Nails song is called As Alive As You Want Me to Be. So I'm sorry, babe. I'm leaving you tonight. Fuck. Okay, so Cyndi Lauper's playing in Raleigh right now. Okay. And what I didn't realize was that her song, Money Changes Everything, it's a cover song. I did not know that. The original song was by a band called The Brains. They lasted for about 4 years, or at least 2 albums. And you can't really find their albums anywhere. They never came out on CD. So the song Money Changes Everything, their version of it, it's like a different key, different pitch. And the vocalist, he's not quite as good as Cyndi. Like, he's good in his own right. It's a new wave song, very punk rock. Leaving you tonight. Yeah, but, you know, Cyndi, when she sings it, she just belts it out. I'm leaving you tonight. Ugh, so good. I love her. She's one of my earliest musical memories. Like, I know it's weird. I'm talking about Cyndi Lauper. Killbot's talking about Cyndi Lauper. When I was a kid, I heard Cyndi Lauper on the radio, and I thought it was Mrs. Keene from the Powerpuff Girls. And then the B-52s, I thought Fred Snyder was Professor Utonium. I've got me a car. I almost expected to hear him say, the city of Townsville. Excuse me. The Desecrator. Does anybody remember the Metal Monster? Good times. Yep, he was great. The only thing you're going to find in the Metal Monster on YouTube now is that collab video that we did together. It was on the Monster Dog movie, the B movie that Alice Cooper starred in. And regretted instantly. Hey, it was a great channel, and it was a great time to be a YouTuber. It was a different world. You know, I've been thinking a lot lately about how the world has changed and how I've changed ever since I've started the channel. How the environment's changed, how some of the things I've experienced as an artist and as a person have affected me and my creativity. A lot of good things happen, a lot of shitty things happen as well. But, you know, sometimes it comes with the territory, and sometimes you just suffer. You know? I've had to suffer a lot. But whatever. Oh, I was talking about Marilyn Manson. So got a pretty complicated story with Marilyn Manson. He was the first artist I ever got in trouble for listening to. But you know, his drinking, his drug problems, his mental breakdowns on stage, I didn't want to go see him live. I didn't want to see that shit. But when I heard old school fans saying, hey, he sounds better than he has in decades, I wanted to see him finally, you know? He was always known for being a great live performer, even when he was a shitty live performer. So saw him, had a fucking great time, and I wanted to shout to the roof. I wanted to shout it on the fucking rooftops to the world how fucking awesome the show was. But again, you know, liking Marilyn Manson in 2025 comes with, oh, you're a rape apologist. You're listening to a rapist. It's like, I don't know that for sure, though. Okay? All I can do is hope it's not true. And I have my own conclusions based on the information that was presented to me. If there's something that comes along that changes my mind, I'm open to entertaining it. But, you know, I just wanted to see Marilyn Manson. I love those albums, period. I didn't say he was a good person. Now, he can be a son of a bitch in real life, but, you know, sexual abuse, sexual assault, that's a serious thing to me. I don't take that lightly at all. So, you know, I wanted to do a post about it on Instagram, wanted to do a post about it on Facebook, and couldn't because I knew I was going to get shitty comments. And then I said, well, wait a minute. If I'm going to get shitty comments about it anyway, why don't I just get paid for it and do it on YouTube? So, came up with this big, scripted, long-winded video about my history with Manson, going through the allegations, going through my response to them, when I felt comfortable seeing him live, the show itself. And I was trying to go about it from a way that wasn't going to shit all over anybody and that wasn't going to send the wrong message. And I think after having some serious heart-to-hearts with a couple friends that I showed the video to before uploading to YouTube, I decided, I was like, you know what? The way this video is, the way it's worded, the way it's presented, I don't want anybody to take away that sex allegations, sex abuse allegations shouldn't be taken seriously. Sexual abuse in men and women every day get brushed off, not taken seriously. And if somebody listens to my video and then somewhere down the line they don't believe somebody who's went through some actual shit because of something I watched, I would feel really bad about that. You know? Maybe someday I'll get to tell my Marilyn Manson story. Now is not the time. So, big giant video for me that I was hoping to put out that I canceled at the last minute. And what ended up on Patreon was just like a rough draft. It was going to have changes somewhere. You know, I was talking to my friends about it, be like, hey, so how do you think I presented this? How do you think this argument stands? And they were like, okay, so I think you did wrong here, here, and here, and I think you need to handle the subject differently, blah, blah, blah. And they were right. I mean, I asked them for honest criticism, and I was like, well, look, I don't want anybody to feel bad watching one of my videos. You know, like, say somebody who's went through sexual trauma themselves, if they see one of my videos and hear something I say, like, I think the way I presented it probably wouldn't have been taken too bad, maybe, but I don't know that. Like, somebody who might be watching the video might just have a severely negative response, and I don't want to be part of that, okay? So, anyway. Let's talk about stuff that... Joseph Phoebe. Manson's inconsistent since 2000, but there's usually good songs on each album. Yeah. My favorite album is Mechanical Animals. I also really love Portrait of an American Family. And I know a lot of people don't like Smell Like Children. In the right mindset, it's the spot. You just have to... You have to keep in mind that it's an experimental album. It's like... it's about losing childhood innocence in a way. You know? And there's a fucking awesome remix of Dope Hat. Well, sorry, re-recorded version of Dope Hat. Like this jazzy, druggy, dubby version of it. It's called Diary of a Dope Fiend. So good. The children love the show, but they fail to see the anguish in my eyes. He just plays it up big time. Christy, hello. Just woke up from a much needed nap. Glad to see you on Alive. Yeah, Christy Townsend. There's my travel companion. Hey, why don't we take this time to first of all address the super chat from 2 minutes ago. Thank you so much, Saya Diakite. But let's also talk about some Lords of Acid, because I got some cool stuff to talk about. Ozzy's aboard the Eternal Crazy Train. Thank you. Yep. Rest well, Ozzy. You have influenced and enhanced all of our lives. And my musical path. And the way I carry myself when I'm out partying and at shows and hanging out in public, you know. I'm always getting into shit. Like Ozzy. Cursed Moon. Alright, Moon. Get this video to 5,000 likes and you can post it. Just kidding. Really love to see that Manson video, though. Hopefully one day you feel like posting it. I think if I ever do a Manson story or a Manson video, I'll have to, like, leave out some things, not cover some things. I really wanted to just sit out the allegations part. Unfortunately, because so many people are going to address it and come at me with it, it's like, okay, let me just do a preemptive frequently asked questions about this. Again, I just don't think now is the right time to do a Manson video. Maybe someday I can. I'll tell you, he was the first artist I ever got in trouble for listening to, though. I was 10 or 11 years old, can't remember. But my mom was coming to visit me one summer from Philadelphia, and she was burning me music to put on my iPod Mini. She was looking through her iTunes. She saw Marilyn Manson, Lest We Forget. She said, here's something your dad isn't gonna like. Smiling big shit-eating grin. So I looked on her screen. I was like, what's this? I saw the name Marilyn Manson highlighted. I was like, interesting name. A few months later, I heard The Beautiful People on the radio. I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. And then a couple months later, my stepdad's iPod had Lest We Forget on it. So on a train ride, I just played Mob Scene over and over and over. So I had Mom burn me the CD. And took it home, tried burning the CD to my my stepmom's computer. I left the CDR on the desk and just went into another room for a minute to go get something. I came back, didn't think anything of it. My stepmom was in the room. She saw the CD. And a few hours later, I get called into the living room. She decided to show my father the lyrics to the songs. Now, she could have shown him the lyrics just on the computer screen. Nothing dramatic. No, she printed out the lyrics to all 17 songs. And I was called into the living room. They were passing the papers between each other, commenting on how atrocious and disrespectful the lyrics were. And then my dad took the CD away from me. I was crying over it, really heartbroken, because this was music that I loved, that meant a lot to me, you know? I didn't think there was anything evil or horrible about it. I wasn't going to go out and hit people or rob banks or any of the shit that people said that Grand Theft Auto was going to do at the time. But I was crying in the other room over it, and I heard my stepmom within earshot. She said to him, I didn't say you had to take it away from him. I just wanted you to be aware of what he was listening to. Oh, yeah, right. She knew what she was doing. Naturally, I snuck the CD. I found the CD's hiding place, and I snuck the CD on my portable CD player and on my iPod mini, and I got caught listening to it in both cases. You know, I kept getting caught and kept getting in trouble for listening to Marilyn Manson, but did it stop me from listening to him? No. Little did any of them know what was in store just a couple of years down the road, you know, talking about some deicide and some autopsy and some napalm death and some convulse and some entombed and some dismember and some abscess with the fucking disgusting shit they talk about. Cock and ball torture, last days of humanity, you know, shit like that, you know. And they fucking shit bricks when I got into death metal. Oh boy. I was called to the breakfast table one morning, and I was in kind of a hurry. I was listening to my iPod when I was called, so I just threw it on the bed, didn't think anything of it. I was listening to the abscess population reduction split. So she was doing laundry. Also, she brought some laundry into my room, saw that my iPod was playing, saw the song Bourbon, Blood, and Butchery playing on the iPod. And she always likes to use, you know what, I'm going to stop myself there, the oversharing thing. But yeah, needless to say, it didn't go over well. I got in trouble for it, but I was like, ooh, I'm so scared. Whatever. Hey, 14 years old. I was 14 years old when that happened. I'm 29 now, and let me tell you, metal's not a phase. You know, I do have interest in other music. You know, like some people say they have metal slumps. I don't think I have metal slumps ever. I find that I have spells where I just want to listen to certain bands. Like there are times where I don't listen to metal as much as, say, industrial or rock or punk, but you know, I still love every band that's on these posters on these walls, you know. But lately, I've been in the mood for Chelsea Wolfe. I've been in the mood for who else is on that list? Manson, fucking Ministry, Lords of Acid, you know, on account of seeing them 7 times in the past month. Wolf Lust 97. Yeah, it's hard to know in the case of Marilyn Manson where somebody like Trump with the all evidence. Oh, God, don't get me started. Saya Diakite. I met Ozzy in 2002. He was in front of me that day. I was pushed in front of him because I was nervous. Aw. Gonna smoke a joint for you, Ozzy. Aw. Okay, got another super chat from Saya. Thank you very much for streaming today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chats. And by the way, people, $10 in the super chats and I'll take my shirt off. Okay, so 7:50. Let's keep the comments updated. We are 80 minutes into it. Got so many things I could talk about, of course, you know, like my cat Jezebel, talked about her already. What else can I talk about? Yeah, I talked about the drum machine. Oh, how about that shit of Pentagram being denied the ability to tour in Australia. Like, the tour got canceled because of his criminal history, and people are like, oh my god, what happened? Like, they didn't know yet. He pushed his mom down the stairs. Like, he was high as shit or something, but like, fuck. And people are like, well, he served time for it. It's like, why are you defending this guy who beat up his mom? Like, I get it. I love Pentagram. I love Pentagram too. I like their music, but also he's not a good person. And yes, I did get a picture with Bobby Liebling after that show, knowing that he did that thing to his mother. But it's like, you know, it was something that tore me, because I was like, okay, so this is someone whose music I really like, but also he's a piece of shit. Like, how do I reconcile that? It's like, all right, well, supposedly he's clean now. I don't know. Drugs make people do stupid shit. George Waters, it's going to be a strange place when all the rock and metal legends are gone. We'll make new ones. Saya said it best just now. No, it won't. Their legacies will always live on. Yep. Foxifer, hey, it's been a while, man. Imagine getting pushed off the stairs and the last thing you see is Bobby Liebling's psycho stare. He's a fuck up. And also, there were people who've gotten screwed over from the Pentagram camp. Like, there was a comment I read today. Somebody said that they printed some T-shirts for Pentagram for some show that they were doing, and they got duped like $900. Pentagram didn't pay him, apparently. Now, that's just hearsay. I'm not the authority on that. Oh, man. So, yep. In other news, you know, I got some cool shows I'm going to. 9 Inch Nails in September in Raleigh. Already got the ticket for that one. Electric Hellfire Club on Devil's Night in Miami. I bought the ticket. Don't think I'm going to go to the show. Might sell the ticket. If any of you want it, you're welcome to have it. I don't want to go to fucking Florida. I fucking hate Florida. It's too fucking hot. Who else? Lebanon Hanover. Their first United States tour in a while. I really love their music, and yes, I bought a ticket. Gonna see them in Raleigh. Who else? Ghoul, they just announced a tour today. They're the closest they're coming to me is Richmond. It's about 3 hours from me, so I'm probably just gonna rent a vehicle and drive up there. Maybe stay the night somewhere. I don't know. What else? The Sword. Yeah, the Sword's back together, so they are coming to Raleigh in October. Very nice, very nice. Vision Video, another band that's coming in October. So, we are 82 minutes into the stream. I told you guys earlier I had a soda relapse in Philadelphia. What was supposed to be the last date I was going to be seeing Lords of Acid a month ago, before I decided to go to Vegas at the last minute. So, on account of Ozzy Osbourne dying and on account of me trying to better my life, here we are on a live stream. The last soda I'm going to have for quite a while. Until an enemy dies, or, I don't know, I get a big cash injection or something. So, cracking open a cold one for you, Ozzy. Ozzy Osbourne, 76 years old. May you rest in peace. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the music. Thank you. Cheers, Ozzy. You know, I used Mountain Dew as bong water once. Didn't notice a difference. But then again, that was my ex's bong many years ago. I didn't know how to clean it. Didn't really know how to use a bong. Didn't really notice any results. But you know what? I think maybe this time, maybe with the piece I've got. You know what? Yeah. Let's check this out. Gonna show this to you because one of the things also going on, one of the things I want to change is decreasing the amount of weed I smoke. Okay? Hold on. Do not disturb. Okay, cool. And I see this super chat. This $4.99 from Daisy. Hello, Daisy. 2 questions. Thank you for the $5. Very nice. See any new movies recently? And what's your favorite album of the 2020s? Mine is Love from a Padded Room. Okay, I'm going to have to screenshot that. Excuse me. Favorite album of the 2020s? Probably She Reaches Out to She Reaches Out to She by Chelsea Wolfe. By Chelsea Wolfe. Sorry, that was a tongue twister. I love how tight and concise the album is. I love the concept of the album. I love the sound design and the tone of the album. I love how it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's consistently great throughout. She battled some real demons when she wrote that album, and it shows. She wears her heart on her sleeve. It's just a really good album. And the songs are great enough to listen to over and over. Now, I know some people, they couldn't get into the sound of the album, couldn't get into the aesthetic of the album. To me, that album is a mix of everything I like. So it's got metal, it's got goth, it's got industrial, it's got a bit of the folksy songwriter rock and roll stuff. It's weird. It's a bit trip hoppy too, you know. It's just a really good album. And as far as new movies, the last movie I saw was Threads. Some of you may have heard of this movie. It's a pretty infamous movie. It was a BBC TV movie that came out in 1984. It's about the aftermath of a nuclear fallout. Okay, so you have the people of Sheffield, 1984. Some conflict between the United States and Russia that starts happening, and then the UK for some reason gets in the middle of it somehow, and the UK, Sheffield, gets the shit bombed out of them. And you spend the rest of the movie seeing people eat raw lamb and trade their bodies, trade sex for dead rats to eat because there's no food. You can't really grow any food. There's cold because there's nuclear winter. You see animals on fire. You see old women pissing themselves in the street when you see the mushroom cloud. You see people dehydrating. You see people starving to death. You see people getting radiation sickness and going catatonic. You see 11-year-olds giving birth to deformed rape babies. It's fucking wild, man. It is often labeled as one of the most disturbing movies you will ever see, and yes, it is definitely in the top 3 for me. So now it's Requiem for a Dream, Kids from '95, Cello or the 120 Days of Sodom, and now Threads. Yeah. It's right up there with all those movies because it is just relentlessly bleak throughout. There's no hope. You know, there was an American version of the same concept, basically. There was a movie called The Day After. It was a TV movie that was viewed by, I think the number was like 80 million people back in the 1980s when it came out in America. And Ronald Reagan, who saw the movie, and he was like, well, I guess we should go ahead and talk about, de-escalating the arms race. Because nobody wins in a nuclear war. I don't know. That's probably not how he said it. But, I mean, the American version, The Day After, that's the Hollywood version. Okay, that's the Hollywood version of what would happen during a nuclear fallout. There are a couple times in the movie where there's America, here and there, and you see people eating oranges. Nobody's going to be fucking eating oranges during a nuclear fallout. And there's optimism. Oh, maybe we can get out of this. Maybe we can rebuild society one day. No, you won't. No, watch Threads. Like, fun little trivia about that movie. So, The Day After came out. It was being marketed, and the guy who was directing and making Threads, he was like, okay, so if The Day After gets everything right, I'm not going to make my movie. The Day After came out, he was like, oh, they got so much wrong. So you get this movie that's just oppressively bleak. You see what happens in the days following the bombing. You see what happens in the weeks following the bombing. You see what happens 10 years following the bombing. And it's still as depressing and horrible and miserable as ever. Highly recommended. Not for the faint of heart, though. But, you might want to watch it with the kids. Bring a date. It's free on YouTube. It's a 2-hour movie, but damn. Christy, I find that using hemp as a reward for getting something done keeps me from being a couch potato. That's what I did for the dystopia video. I would work all day, and then at 6 o'clock, I'd be like, okay, time to dance. Legalized crime. Who didn't cry from Ozzy dying anyway? I got a million notifications of people crying. Yep, me too. And I was one of them. Foxfur, I got high with a friend on edibles and we listened to Master of Reality. I felt like I was hovering. Little did we know. Yeah. next time, try volume 4. So, getting back to the bong and weed issues, I feel like I've been smoking too much of it. I don't get things done after I smoke, so that's one of those things. I'm trying to use up what I have, maybe give something away, and then after that's gone, I'm not gonna smoke anymore. Just gonna, I don't know, if I'm at a party or something and somebody offers it, maybe I'll play around with it. But check this out. So this is my piece. This is my glass. So 16-inch straight tube. 2 percolators, ice pinch. That is a very important thing for me, and I won this. The head shop, they were doing a giveaway. They do raffles. They give you raffle tickets every time you make a purchase, and sometimes they do giveaways on like 420. They'll call out tickets and they'll give you either flour or glass. In this case, this $100 fucking awesome thing. It's pretty cool. It's a nice smooth smoke. The ice pinch, of course, it's a game changer. I'll show you what I had before that. And I want to get rid of this, so I don't know where I could sell this exactly, but I don't know who would buy it either. It's like $30 with the bowl, but the bowl broke. Fuck. So that's 6-inch mini bong. It's pathetic, but it was $30, and I didn't feel like spending a lot of money that day. I kind of wish that I waited. The next thing I bought this glow-in-the-dark Cheech and Chong bong. It was pretty cool. It was like $70. It was a 10-inch bong. It didn't have an ice pinch, though. I didn't enjoy smoking it. I did not enjoy smoking it. It was too hot of a hit. It hurt my throat. I sold it on eBay. This one, maybe somebody will buy this one. Who knows? Because I think when I quit for good, when I quit weed, I'm not going to want to have this around to remind me. Here's the thing. I have a bit of a addictive and impulsive personality, in a way. And so if I have soda in the house, if I have lots of pizza in the house, if I have weed in the house, if I have chips in the house, did I say chips already? I'm going to consume all of it until it's gone. I have poor self-control when it comes to that type shit. So it's better if none of it's in the house. Fox fur. I personally stick to edibles due to it. May not be nicotine, but you're still inhaling blazing fumes. See, there is there's no safe way to smoke it. So this is a lot safer than joints because this is going to filter out a lot of the harmful stuff like the gunk and the tar and stuff, but it's still smoke going into your lungs. I was talking earlier about, using Mountain Dew as bong water. I think that's what I'm going to do after the stream is over. So, let's see. Part of my last Mountain Dew here. So, come on. There we go. Because of course I would, right? Okay, man, I'm going to have to clean this after I use it. Holy fuck. Yeah. Okay, so gotta put some ice in there, and this is going to be my last Mountain Dew. It's going to be part of what I do. And lately I've been smoking some Maui Wowie, man, and some Northern Lights. So you got a sativa from the 70s and you got an indica from the 90s. Both very good. I think I prefer the Northern Lights myself, but that's just me. Okay, so all the new people in the chat, all the new people in the live stream, thank you for joining the Killbot and Gorgor Attack live stream, the first one in quite a while. Every live stream, the offer remains the same. I take my shirt off for $10 on the super chat for a few minutes. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, make my paycheck good. Liam Benetov went out like a rock star. Yep. Still going to praise Ozzy. We're going to praise Ozzy till the end of time. I've been flying Ozzy's flag since I was a kid, and I'll continue to do so for the rest of my life. Thank you, Ozzy. Mr. Moo, edibles hit too hard to be calming for me. Well, I think the problem with edibles, I don't like edibles because they're too easy to overdo. They take too long to kick in, and they're way too easy to overdo. So after 2 hours, if nothing is kicking in, it's like, okay, well, maybe it's time for me to take another one. Maybe that one was just a dud. So I take another one, and then 30 minutes later, all of it kicks in at once. That's what happened to me last time I did them. It was so unpleasant and so horrible. It hurt to move, and I was like, okay, never again. And I am never, ever touching Delta 8 again. Delta 8 can suck my fuck. Gustavo Cuervo. By the way, don't snort ants for real. They really hurt, speaking from experience. Yeah, don't do what Ozzy did, people. Like, Ozzy did it because he was Ozzy. But I'll tell you a little story. So I want to talk about Lords of Acid a little bit before we start winding down the stream. So talking about weed and talking about Lords of Acid. First of all, Lords of Acid, it was incredible. Christy, my travel companion, you know, she's here in the stream. Awesome. Hello, Christy. But it was a great trip. So saw them in Detroit, then saw them in Cleveland, saw them in Harrisburg, Philadelphia, New York City, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia. I already said Philadelphia. Then I went back a couple weeks later and saw them in Vegas. It was a pretty fun time. I never really followed a band for that many shows that quickly. Here's what happened. Skinny Puppy, they did their final tour. They did 2 legs of it. Saw them twice in North Carolina, different dates. A week later, I saw them twice in New York, back-to-back nights at the same venue. Second leg of the tour, I saw all 4 of the final shows in Los Angeles back-to-back. I mean, yeah, that's following a band, but like that's not like following a band on tour while they're on tour traveling to different cities. This Lords of Acid trip, it was like, okay, so what would happen if I follow a band like this? You know, seeing the differences between venues, crowds, cities. What's more walkable? What's the nicest crowd? What's the most open-minded crowd? Who are the biggest assholes? And there were things that were interesting about each date. In Harrisburg, somebody proposed. 2 big Lords of Acid fans were called to the stage. Guy got on one knee. He was like, "You're my best friend and I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Yeah, that was a nice, wholesome moment. You know, a band that sings about, "I want to sit on your face," that's the type of band that you want to propose to your partner with, too, you know? But yeah, you know, like, I know Lords of Acid, they're known to be this sexual band, but like, the sexuality thing is only part of it. Lords of Acid really is just about having fun, you know? It's very rock and roll. It's talking about partying, having a good time. There's the sex stuff, there's the drug stuff, whatever. But what else? Washington, D.C., the 930 Club, Legendary Club, the stage is on rails, so the stage can be moved forwards or backwards depending on how many tickets are sold. They can make a show with 200 people look like it's packed. It's pretty cool. But there was a good amount of people there. Somebody on the street outside after the show had some medical grade ganja. They offered me a couple hits, and 2 hits later, I was feeling pretty good. Praga Khan, meanwhile, he had been, well, let's say he had been indulging in some liquids that night, and in the front lounge of the tour bus, him and I had this nice bond for those dates, because, you know, there's that little history. If you saw the videos I did last year, there's a little bit of history there. But DC show, we had our own little rock and roll party in the front lounge of the tour bus. So I was stoned. He'd been drinking a little bit. We were playing Santana, Cream, Rolling Stones, Rory Gallagher, Iron Butterfly, all that stuff. We were playing all that on the tour bus, dun, 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 just rocking out, having a great time. I mean, that's a great rock and roll story, you know? Money can't buy stuff like that. And you know what? It was really cool just to get to hang with him and hang with the band and see everybody's roles in the band. For me, it was interesting to see the crew do what they do, just as much as it was cool to see what the musicians were doing, because everybody had a role to play. You know, that's I got an up close look on the day in the life of a touring band. You know. Got to see everybody's jobs, got to see what everybody got to do all day, what time load-ins were, dealing with the venues, that type thing, you know? So this video that I'm going to do on Lords of Acid, it's going to cover different angles. You know, it's going to cover, you know, the day in the life of a touring band. It's going to cover the different crowds, the unique stuff that happened, the differences between venues, my favorite shows to go to. It's also going to cover the fandom because, you know, like I said earlier, there was somebody who proposed on stage in Harrisburg. You know, that kind of fandom, to be able to love a band so much, to be like, hey, I want to ask my wife to marry me. Would you guys be okay with it? Yeah, we'll help you out. You know, that's assuming that's how that happened. I didn't ask anybody, but you know, it was a wholesome moment. It was beautiful. And in my case, you know, I went to that Vegas show because Jezebel was being put down in a couple days, and I was like, I don't need to be here right now. I flew out to Vegas. Didn't think anything negative all night. You know, a band like Lords of Acid, that's the kind of band that's you're always going to have a great time with them. You know, it's escapism. It's fun. Also, the music just fucking rocks. So, Ron Fiasco, hello peeps. Rest in peace, Oz. Hail the Lords. Yep, praise the Lords. Fuck the rest. And by the way, anybody who's been seeing the footage, check this out. So, I got the sign. $50 later. Yeah, they were selling it at the merch booth for $50. I was like, oh, I want it. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with it or where I'm going to put it. But yeah, so praise the Lords. The rest. Yep, this was the sign that they used all tour on stage when they played the song Worship the Lords. And of course, it got Daddy Gina. Gina signed it. Gina from Little Miss Nasty. Quite a couple little memorabilia items that I've gotten. So there was that one. Little Miss Nasty, of course, they had this light little bit with a candle and a lighter. You know, she gives a blowjob to a candle, basically. So, and she throws them out in the crowd while I got the candle and lighter from Harrisburg. And let's see. But, you know, it's not physical stuff that I'm after. It's memories and conversations and seeing places and seeing things and meeting new people. You know, that's nice. I live for that shit. You know, stuff is just stuff. Although, I will admit, the t-shirts for this tour were fucking awesome. Look at this. Look at the way the colors pop. Ugh, so good. It looks even better in person than it does on camera, but... But yeah, it was a great time. Had some nice drives, saw some cities and saw some things I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. Crowd was really nice for the most part. I wore some really slutty outfits. You see me in one of them in Little Miss Nasty's tour blog that just got released a couple days ago. But yeah, let's just say in Cleveland, let's see. Wizard robe, mushroom pasties, thong. That was my outfit. Yeah. The comment that I kept getting throughout the night was, I wish I had your courage. Now, when they played Pussy and they called a bunch of women on stage to dance with them, I went up and danced with them, took my robe off, did a nice little shake for the ladies in the audience, and they were like, ah! I can't believe I did that. It was a fun outfit. And then, of course, in Philly, I did the shirtless Pacey's look with the choker, this cat choker that was at the merch table for the DJ, Alec cat. Hold up, hair. There we go. So, choker. Of course, it would look better if I had a different outfit on, but there was some lady in Philly who liked my choker so much, she gave me the choker she was wearing on her neck. So check this out. So, it's heart choker here. Yeah. Well, hair. I was daring enough to wear this in Vegas. It itches a little bit, but yeah, so this is what I wore in Vegas. I'd say Philadelphia had the nicest and most open-minded crowd. Andrew Gabriel, hey, how you doing, man? Christy, the ride to New York City with Janice. Yes, that fucking lady. There was this lady on the highway. She had a flat tire. We could see she had a flat tire, but she just kept driving for the next couple miles. It's like, lady, if you keep driving with a flat tire, you're gonna fuck up your wheel. But no, she was just 10 and 2, relaxed. Ron Fiasco, hell, we had the I Must Increase My Bus single. Your video was fun. I loved it. Aw, thank you. Christy, I love Little Miss Nasty's video compilation. Poor Annie on the tour bus in Philly. Oh yeah, Christy and I gangbangs the blow-up doll on the tour bus. So yeah, go watch Little Miss Nasty's tour vlog, and in it, for the part we're in Philadelphia, you can see me gangbang a blow-up doll with some wine bottles. Scott Jackson, there's a brewery called Brash in Houston with a beer called Black Masses. Going to be drinking lots of those. So cool, dude. They're an awesome band. I remember when Our Little Secret came out. Yep, really awesome band. Merchandise at each venue is different in the way they control who gets to sell it and how many items they can sell and how much of those profits the venue will take, blah, blah, blah. Yep, absolutely. The fact you ended up singing, of all things, kicks ass. You'll never forget that. Well, and that's kind of what planted the seeds for what happened for this trip. So, giving credit where credit's due, if it weren't for GD, none of that stuff would have happened because we had an online friendship and, you know, we're okay now. Just, there was all that drama that went on after the tour and I just kind of had to distance myself from it for a little bit. But, you know, our online friendship, we hung out in Charlotte, then we hung out again in Minneapolis, and Maurice, Oliver, they seem to enjoy having me around. So I was feeling the wanderlust anyway, and then Gigi was like, hey, come to Los Angeles. So I get there, and little do I know that she flew back to Belgium after the San Francisco show. So they already knew who I was. I was like, well, I mean, I can sing a couple songs if you want me to. They're like, can you sing Rough Sex? Just sat in my chair, didn't even warm up, sang it for them. Then they were like, can you do Take Control? Sang Take Control. All right, you're singing for us tonight. So, but that show also awoke something dark in me because Enya put on my makeup for that. Sorry. Enya put on my makeup for that show. I'd never done makeup for a show. So there I was, my first time ever singing in front of an audience, and it was with makeup and a dress on. That was bold. I am so glad that was filmed. So there was that in Los Angeles, and, you know, we've sort of infrequently all kept in touch ever since. And then when this tour happened, it was like, okay, so got Christy, my new friend, a fellow acid head. We're going to drive around from Detroit to Philly, and we're going to hope that we don't get tired of hearing these songs. And that was one of my big concerns, actually, when we were planning the trip. It was 6 shows, so I was like, am I going to get sick to death of hearing this fucking band after, like, the second show? Because keep in mind, I already seen them, like, 5 times before that. So, thankfully, Philly, I was still really enjoying the shows. I didn't really get tired of any of it. I mean, I did get to a point where I was like, okay, so the next song is coming. They're going to play Mr. Macho Man next. Okay, now Carla's going to say, this next song's about a real nasty bitch. This is called Rubber Doll! You know, Little Miss Nasty, same thing. It's like, okay, they're going to do the reptile bit now. Okay, they're going to do the closer bit now. It's like, okay, cool, you know. But like I said, you know, there were things about each show that made them different, unique. The Vegas show, Little Miss Nasty, they had a different girl. They had a contortionist. That definitely was different, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Okay, newer comments. Wow, we've been doing this for almost 2 hours. Holy shit. Hey, you guys still having a good time? I'm still having a good time. Voltage Mob, Rest in Power, Great Prince of Darkness. Yep. Ozzy, Ozzy, Ozzy. Just say Ozzy. Andrew Gabriel, what are your favorite songs for both Ozzy and Sabbath? Skip this if answered already. Well, for Ozzy, I'd say Hellraiser, Time After Time. Excuse me. Believer. Flying High Again. Suicide Solution. Perry Mason. Then for Ozzy, let's see. Oh, sorry, for Sabbath, we've got Fairies Wear Boots. We've got Into the Void. We've got Wheels of Confusion and Under the Sun. I mean, there's so many great Ozzy songs. It's kind of hard to pick favorite Sabbath songs, you know what I mean? Diarrhea Blaster 72. Favorite sludge, stoner, doom bands other than Sabbath. Let's see. Dystopia is pretty great. Sludge and Doom and Crust Punk, one of my favorite bands ever. Grief, great doom metal. I actually just ordered a Sub Rosa album on eBay today. Remember Sub Rosa? Excellent doom metal from Salt Lake City. They are on hiatus currently. if they're ever going to get back together, but it was really good stuff. Rebecca is now in a project called The Keening. I saw them open for Alec. It's pretty good stuff if you're into that type of thing. Cyrus Von Knox. Hey, y'all, just checking in. Rest in peace, Ozzy. As far as I know, Ozzy was the first metal frontman. Yep. Ron Fiasco. Online friendships do pay off in the physical. I would never discount that fact. Yep, me neither. And there are many people where I was friends with them online first and then met up with them in person when I was visiting that city. I try to do that if I know that I'm going to be close to somebody, where somebody is, you know. And as far as Gigi, you know, it was really cool hanging out with her. Generally, she was good to me, you know. And she's good to me now. So, but it was just really, it was really wonderful getting to see everybody. Reacquainting myself with the band and also reacquainting myself with Gina and, you know, just chatting with the merch people and the crew people and Lucia every once in a while. You know, she seemed pretty cool. I never really got to have a one-on-one combo with her, but she was always in good spirits, you know. Lucia Cifarelli. And apparently this was her first solo tour ever. Like, she had released solo albums and she'd been touring with KMFDM and other bands for the longest time, but like as far as solo material, this was her first tour apparently. And it was really awesome to see because, you know, she had these really snake-like movements, piercing eyes, just super commanding stage presence. And by the time the Vegas show happened, I was singing along to him. I didn't even know any of those fucking songs before the Detroit show, and I didn't listen to them on my own on YouTube when I got home. So, you know, it's like I'm sitting there in the crowd. Anyway, Christy, I was sad I didn't get to meet Enya. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. You'll meet her next time. I hope. Isaiah Mendez. Hey, how you doing? The dress and the makeup being the least of my worries. That indeed took elephant tight balls and made the video quite different. I don't think that goes on. Well, I mean, duty calls. It was the right time, the right place. You know, I just offered to help because, you know, they're one of my favorite bands. I've been listening to them since I was a teenager, and by that point, Gigi was the third singer I'd seen them with. So, you know, I never in a million years did I ever think that would happen because I'm a man. Like, men don't sing Lords of Acid songs unless they're Praga Khan, okay? But I got on stage like fucking Bon Scott went on TV one time in a dress and makeup singing Baby Please Don't Go. That's what I was thinking of the whole time. I still think about that every once in a while, and I'm like, man, I can't believe that happened. But, you know, that planted the seeds for what was happening on this tour because, you know, Maurice, he was over there like, you saved our asses. I was like, hey, you saved mine many times over. I miss Trudy though. Don't worry, in this video, there will be a little section dedicated to Trudy. Because she is very missed. She was sick while on tour last year, and then as soon as she landed in Belgium, she went to the hospital. Lymphoma, aggressive lymphoma. And the hospital had strict rules about who was allowed to see her, so her family got to see her, and that's it. So the Detroit show happened. And this was before the meet and greets. Praga and I, we were just kind of chilling, chatting lightly. And he was like, yeah, I'll never forget you helping us out, helping us get to the airport last year in Los Angeles. Also, you know, you were one of the last people to see Trudy alive because the hospital wouldn't let her family see her for a while, friends see her for a while, whatever the situation was. So there was that little connection there. I'm going to put that later in the video just to not, you know, seem overly important or anything. Here's the thing. I don't work for anybody in the band. I'm not affiliated with them or associated with them in any way. I'm a guy who likes their music, okay? And Lords of Acid just happens to be the band that I want to do the video about because I love doing Lords of Acid videos. I've done a few of them already. One of my favorite bands. I love the music. Incredible live. They played a couple new songs on the set list that I hadn't played, that I hadn't heard them play before. Get Up and Get High and The Power's Mine. Good songs on their own, good songs when you hear them on the albums, but when they play them live, ugh. Just something about having a live drummer, live guitar player, live bass player just really adds that rock and roll energy, you know? Like they're a dance band, but they're played as rock and roll songs, you know? The Desecrator. It was actually your channel that had me expand my tastes and not be all metal only type of dude, so thank you. Thank you so much. You know, like my channel's always been kind of a boardwalk of different extreme music ideas, and weirdly enough, in the early years of my channel, some people accused me of being a metal elitist, and it's like, you know, I don't like hip-hop, but that doesn't mean I'm a metal elitist. You know, I've got Tori Amos in my collection, for fuck's sake, so, you know. This was very enjoyable, Tony. I could hear your stories for hours, but I gotta go do some work. Hey, well, thank you so much for joining, Fizz. Grind on. Okay, let me skip forward to the newer comments. Paper Tiger! Amelie Delgado. Hey, Tony, I just heard Ozzy died. Yep. Rest in peace, Ozzy. 76 years old. You have done more in one lifetime than most people get to live in a couple lifetimes. You know what I mean? Almost finished with this dew. Then I'm gonna smoke the dew in the bong water, and that's gonna be it. No more soda for me. You know, I relapse on soda after the Philadelphia show. So the Philadelphia show was awesome. Okay. It was a small venue, but it was intimate. The people were really kind. And we had a nice little party on the tour bus afterwards. Christy and I gangbanged a blow-up doll with some wine bottles. And that fucker went deep, too. Total whore. But it was such a great night, and I just wanted to celebrate with a Mountain Dew, just to celebrate a vacation. It was the happiest I'd been in months, with everything going on in the world and the country, personal stuff going on, personal worries. You know, I've been dealt some blows, to put it lightly. That Lords of Acid trip, it was an escape from all of it. You know, I didn't have to think about any of it. You know, it was nice. I could meet new people. I could see all these cool places and interact with the band and hear great music. You know, that's you know, it's an adventure. You know, sometimes going to these concerts, you know, they're not just for music. It's an adventure. It's a whole experience. Big, small, doesn't matter. Some people are like, oh, I don't like big shows. Hey, doesn't matter. I've been to great big shows, been to great little shows, you know. They live, we sleep. This is your first and last soda, Tony? Well, I've been drinking Mountain Dew again for a while, and I've been wanting to get off the train, so to speak. So tonight for Ozzy Osbourne on this stream is my last Mountain Dew for a while. Not going to give it up forever, but on a regular occasion, there will be no Mountain Dew drinking for me. One of the things I noticed when I quit soda last year, after a couple months, I noticed my skin felt better. I noticed that I was sleeping better. My concentration was better. Caffeine's a good muse for creativity if you want to do zany comedy stuff like I used to do and still do sometimes. But it does have its drawbacks and, you know, personality things, and mixing that with depression, I need to take care of myself. So, getting rid of Mountain Dew and also cutting out weed very soon. Not forever, once again, but, you know. Andrew Gabriel, do you happen to enjoy ambient and or new age? Sometimes. Sometimes. I mean, I'm pretty versed ambient, but as far as ambient, Nurse with Wound, that's one. Swans does some good ambient stuff, and recently I heard Ghosts 1 through 4 by 9 Inch Nails. I was in the mood for it. They Live, We Sleep. Reason I asked is because you inspired me to stop drinking soda for almost a year. Thank you, Tony. Well, thank you. I'm so glad I could do that for you. Hopefully it has brought you many great health benefits. As for me, I have a bit of a soda and sugar addiction, so I need to stop feeding into that. I mean, I'm in good shape, but it's been a couple weeks. Time to get off the carousel. Spectral Journeys. What do you think about this hammer? Never heard of him. I'll tell you what, though, and for the 49 people who are in here currently, I got a little story about weed and Lords of Acid. So in New York City, weed is totally legal. And about a 10-minute jog away from the venue, there was a nice dispensary. So stopped in there, got me some Maui Wowie, got me some Pineapple Express, 2 strains I'd never tried before then. Got back to the line where my friends were. We went to the back of the line, behind the line, away from everybody to smoke a little bit before we went into the show. Again, away from everybody. Then we went back to where we were in line. I was feeling pretty good, feeling a little goofy. And we got inside, and there was some guy at the merch table, some old guy. He was like, "Hey, so I saw you give something to someone." I was like, "Yeah, man, you want some?" He said, "No, what I want is for you to not light up in front of my son." I was like, "Oh, I didn't see any kids, man. I'm sorry." He was like, "Are you going to light up again?" I was stoned and feeling pretty happy, so I didn't argue with him. But he was being a real condescending prick about it. And then I walked around the crowd. I'm like, light up and bring yourself. First of all, I didn't see any kids. How old is this fucking kid? So a few minutes later, I look for the guy in the audience. I spot him in the crowd. His son, who was next to him, looked like he was an older teenager, young adult, maybe 17 years old. Peach fuzz, long hair. Peach fuzz and long hair. That kid smoked pot and his dad didn't know it. But I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. So New York City, where first of all, it's legal and people smoke it all day, every day on the streets casually. Okay, number one. Second of all, you're so worried about what your kid sees at a rock concert. Why on earth are you bringing him to Lords of Acid and Little Miss Nasty? You know, you got Little Miss Nasty grinding their booties on each other and shaking their booties, smacking their booties, giving blowjobs to candles, and then you got Lords of Acid getting on stage talking about all the girls want to come on you and come on and spank my booty and I want to sit on your face and I want to pet your pussy and all that other shit. Half-naked women on stage. Why? Like, your logic. So, like, someone smoking away from the line. Like, they were in the front of the line. Like I said, we were in the way back behind everybody. This fucking guy was in the front. It's like, okay, so first of all, it wasn't even in front of you. It was away from you. It's like, fuck that guy. Seriously. It's like people were drinking. People were getting drunk at the show. I mean, the way I see it, you know, pot might, you know, make me talkative for a little bit, but it's not going to make me violent or aggressive. You know, you know how many drunk, violent, aggressive people I've dealt with at shows ever since I started going to them? There were cokeheads at the New York show. They were so obnoxious, I actually had to move away from them purposefully to get away from them. I was close to the stage, and then they were just like, just yapping nonstop and jumping around nonstop and being belligerent. I was like, this is unattractive. But that just blew my mind. It's like, I don't want you. What I want is for you not smoke in front of my son. It's like, what kind of show do you think we're going to? Anyway. Cursed Moon, I'd be interested in knowing how you got into goth music. Well, I'd always been kind of in the area of it, listening to bands like Dead Can Dance, The Cure, Susie and the Banshees. Like, those are bands I started listening to in 2015, 2016. But I didn't delve deep into goth music until after I dumped my ex back in 2022. My best friend, she brought me to Goth Night to take my mind off things. And as soon as I started posting about going to Goth Night, there were people on the internet who were like, oh, you like goth music? Well, here's some more bands. Here's some YouTube channels. So got into a bunch of really cool bands, you know, Love Like Blood. Fucking... Who else? Rosetta Stones, Asperia, The Wake, Faith in the Muse, Corpus Delicti, who's getting ready to release a new album. Clan of Zymox, you know, stuff like that. And then, of course, watching Angela Benedict's channel. She's fucking awesome, really nice person, excellent YouTube channel, but also a great resource on, you know, what it was like to be goth back in the 80s and 90s and 2000s even. So, you know, basically I binge watched her stuff. I binge watched Maddie Danger's stuff. You know, there was some stuff I watched from like Toxic Tears and there was one Grave something, I can't remember. But yeah, YouTubers, kind of the same way a lot of people get into metal, the younger people get into metal, is just watching YouTubers, watching TikTok. So that's kind of what happened to me. And so I read some books, I saw some concerts, and I basically just stayed in my lane for a couple of years until I finally felt comfortable doing that video last year on doing goth makeup, which still looks like metal makeup. But, you know, that's what I tend to do. I tend to like stay in my lane until I'm comfortable going outside it, because I don't want to spread any misinformation or lies or rumors. The goth community has to deal with that too much as is, and so does the metal community. Imagine if Ozzy's death was just a prank. Trey, I wish that were true. But also, the guy was 76, you know? Slander Bob, born again rules. I agree. I totally agree. Desecrator, what's your take on Rob Dukes re-entering Exodus and replacing Zetro? Well, I've always heard that he was kind of difficult to be in a band with. I mean, he was always great with fans. I got a picture with him back in 2017. It was a great show. I've seen Exodus twice with Zetro singing. It's going to be nice to hear Rob back with Exodus, because I do like the Rob albums for the most part. You know, the Exhibit albums, they're overblown, they're self-indulgent. They could have been condensed, but generally, I like the rough approach. I like the down-tuned stuff. I like how harsh it is. Some people think it might sound generic. I think it just sounds of the times. But like Shovel-Headed Kill Machine, that's a good album to me. You know, I would gladly go see Exodus with Rob in the band. You know, if only Paul Bailoff were still around. Yes, love Angela. But Angela's probably going to watch this later. Hey, Angela, you got a fan here. Okay. Rest in peace, Ozzy. Rest in peace, indeed. But, how do you feel about Sleep Token? I think they're fucking boring. You know, why not just listen to Sleep? Sleep is awesome. Suddy Buddy, are you an After the Burial fan? I saw them... Let me make sure this is the band that I actually saw. Yep, 2015 Summer Slaughter. So I saw them in 2015. They were headlining the Summer Slaughter tour, and they were pretty good generally. It was like they were hyper aware of all the criticism they got for daring to be on the tour. You know, this metalcore band that was headlining the summer festival. People were like, yeah, fucking metalcore. And so the singer just kept saying, we know we might not be what you're into, but if you'll just give us a chance, you might like us. I don't know. I felt kind of bad for them in a way. You know, they just wanted to play great music. Well, I don't know. They wanted to play music like they were paid to do. And, yeah. You got me into dystopia, so thanks. Thank you so much. I'm so glad. Yo, he saw my comment. Yes, I did. Okay, so we are at 130 minutes now, so I think it's time for me to finish this guy up and then start winding it down. So if anybody has any questions, comments, super chats, I got some cool things coming up. Of course, I got the big giant Lords of Acid video coming. right, come on. Okay, so am I back? Is the video back? Or is the video back? Okay, okay, so we're back. Gonna have to wrap this up because the phone battery died, so the stream ended. Well, kind of. So let me just end the stream right now. Thank you to everybody who joined in. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for joining me and celebrating the life and music of Ozzy Osbourne. Now it is time for me to A, charge my phone, and B, smoke a bowl and listen to some Volume 4. So, cheers, Ozzy, and grind on. And that is it. My last soda for a while. Grind on. New stuff coming soon.